What's up, guys? I'm doing a little something different. That's my first video to a new channel I have. I have another YouTube channel. It's called Under Homemade Cuts. I'm a barber, but I want to do a little something different today, man. I just been seeing a lot of videos surface every once in a while about like quitting weed. Quitting weed, and you know, I've been thinking a lot. Like I have a lot to say, and and they're interesting to watch. I've been through, I've quit weed as well. But you know, how many young kids are probably watching these videos and really taking in the information, or it's really helping them, and I want to just give, I have experience, so why am I being selfish and not talking about it? So I'm gonna talk about me, back when I was addicted to weed, I guess. Just so it was, it started way back in sophomore year in high school, and yeah, just I had the friends came over, they spent the night. Then one of them brought weed, and they were like, man, let's smoke this, man. It was probably already like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. I made sure my parents were sleeping. Then we go outside and we take the first hit. I just remember feeling like I looked down at the gravel, and it was just like spinning. I was feeling a little trippy. Some had the giggles, some had the paranoia. It was a fun time, man. Smoking weed was probably the best, like some of the highlight parts of my life, man. It was a lot of fun. But you know uh at that time, I graduated 2015, so it was like 2013, when I started smoking. But at that time, weed was illegal, so we could have got in big trouble. um But after that, we started having people slang, sell weed, and we were just buying nickels and dimes every day. I had to start building a habit of hopping off the bus when I got home to school. And the first thing I would do is go behind your local Ross. And it was like a little 2 minute, 3 minute walk, and we'll just chief it up, just smoke some, and then still catch, because I didn't want to skip, because my mom was gonna get a call, and I was scared as fuck, because towards my mom. I'm Mexican, so some of my homies, some moms didn't even speak English. Mine did. So, and she was like, she cared more, so she was more on point with that stuff. But so I'd still catch my class. I'd be high, maybe I'd reek a little bit, but I would still catch my class. Um, and then on lunchtime, I'd also smoke some more bud. And then even after school, I'd still smoke more. But I was like in this after school program, and we lived in the outskirts, like outside of town. So I have this bus drop me off, and the whole time my mom would probably think I was at the after school program, but I was actually just running amok and just smoking bud, all day, going to homie's house, walking all around town. But that was going on for maybe till I graduated, man. It was, I got caught. Me and a couple friends got caught in the bathroom, and I had all my, my bud, my fucking pipes in my backpack. And I didn't have the bud. I ended up stashing the bud right in my, like, my fucking my balls, bro. And but I had all my utensils in my backpack. So that's considered still, if they scrape the resin off the pipe, they'd be like, oh, that's still, you still have, possession of marijuana. So, but it was nothing big, man. I think they just suspended me for a few days. Um, and but Yeah, after that, then I graduated and smoked even more, man. I was smoking blunts, smoking all the time, man, all day, just all day high. it was practically normal for me. You know, you get to this point where you don't even get high no more. It just feels like you just want to feel normal again. Like, um, you just like that high feeling. You know, yeah, maybe some days you get really trippy. You know, you gotta smoke so much bud, maybe a lot of wax, you'll get that high again. But other than that, it was mostly just getting by. You know, just puffing the same amount every day, maybe a little bit more, but you're not like tripping no more. Yeah, your eyes get a little red here and there, but but you know, that's all I kind of like glorified, man. All I cared about was friends, friends, nothing for my future. Just go smoke with some friends, you know, talk about bullshit. I had no goals, I guess. You know, I was working at a dairy farm, but I don't think I had any goals, man. I was still going to Chemeketa. It's a community college out here, and you know, I was doing all right. I was doing all right, but still paying my bills and stuff. You know, you're not a complete fuck up, dude. But if you quit, man, you just feel on point. You know what I'm saying? It messes with. I mean, later as I grew up, I noticed that like it messes with my emotions. You know, if you quit for too long, then you're back to square one. You have to. You're gonna get that fucking trippy high. You're gonna start getting paranoia or giggly or just weird. Like, why would you want? Why now in my aspect, my perspective now? Why would you want something that makes you like fucking, you know, like act different? You know, I don't emotionally different. You know, the only thing I can like handle now is maybe tobacco. You know, tobacco you don't really, you get a little head high or a little, what do they call it? I don't know, just a little buzz off of it, but you don't feel different. You don't feel emotionally different. Um, so so yeah, I really like tobacco is kind of cool. You know, now, you know, I still drink a little bit every once in a while. Drinking is not, you know, that feeling is not too crazy either. You know, I've really calmed down on my drinking as well. You know, I don't drink heavily and try to get blacked out like I used to in my young days, you know, but yeah, I just drink one or two here and there. But the weed, man, I remember once I started talking to my girl, for some reason she didn't get high as much as I did at that time. So, and I really liked her. I really liked her, and I wanted to. I for some reason I didn't like wanting to get high in front of her, and I didn't want to put that on her, you know, and give her that habit. So you know, we were hanging out so much that I didn't smoke weed as much anymore. So I slowly started letting it go, and then every time I try to puff it again, I'd be so fucking trippy, or I just didn't like that. I felt I couldn't control like my emotion, you know, towards shit. Like, or I'll be lazy when I was super active, you know, super like, you know, I was getting to understand my normal mind, you know, of how I feel. But but yeah, that, you know, I think if you're young, you know, it's fun, but at the same time, later you're just gonna kind of regret it, and uh, I feel like and you get with the wrong, you know, you get with the wrong crowd sometimes, man. You know, usually weed smokers, they just if you're gonna hang out and smoke bud, like that's just it's wasted time. But I don't know, man. I you know I enjoyed it. I don't, you know, but that if you're wanting to quit, that's what I would say. You know, it's good to quit. You know, every once in a while, even lately, I've been debating to, you know, take a puff, but I just nah, like it's just not, it's not cool, man. It's just I hate that feeling, bro. I hate it. So, uh, it's not like the old days when I had nothing better to do. You know, I felt like I was going to school and yeah, you the friends were the only peak importance, you know, and my group of friends started doing it. So, hey, you know, you hang with that crowd, you kind of, you know, go with the crowd, man. And that's how usually things happen, you know. Um, but, but it was fun. It was fun. Nothing bad happened, thankfully, around the situations, you know, um, But that's my 2 cents for that. Any other questions that you guys have, comment below, subscribe if you like this talk. This is my first video for this channel. I just wanted to enlighten, this is going to be more for talks, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents on that, man. So quit Mary Jane, man. Or just pay attention to your emotions and who you really are, Yeah, because like right now, if I were to take a puff and a blunt, I'd be like zoned out, bro. Like, and then I'd be like hearing every sound. I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, doesn't that look weird, bro? I don't know, man. I'm just not like, I have to be straight now, dude. I cut a lot. I got people's hair, a lot of people's hair. I work another job. I gotta look professional for that. Feel like I can't be having these emotional swings, and I have a son now too. I have a 5-year-old. I can't, I don't want to be puffing too much in front of him or anything like that. So that's just my intake on it. If you're debating to quit, and like I'm happy that I quit, man. All that money I'm saving from it. The emotional, knowing both sides now, like knowing the addiction part, or addiction, or you're just heavily on weed, and then how having to like take some time for yourself and feel your emotions, not mask it, right? Because at that time, I'm just a young kid, but maybe I was trying to mask emotions. I wanted to dive into something. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this talk. Comment below with any questions. I'm very active on this, so I'll respond quickly. And hope you have a nice day. Peace.